All right, well, good morning and thank you for joining me again. Today we are talking about the language arts programs. It is a continuation from last time for kindergarten, first grade, second grade, like all around there. First product of the day, which is keeping in line with the language arts, which is the Usborne. I believe it's $44 for 50 books. It's the Start Library. So you got, and what I love about them is they are fairy tales. Here's some fairy tales, but they are also the fables and like Greek stories. There's just, they're really interesting. They're really interesting. And some of them, when you open them up in the beginning, they list out, and there's even new stories, of course, like the one I'm going to show you, The Dinosaur and His Roar. At least I think it's new. I'm not sure. I don't think it's a fable. Now, in the beginning here, you'll see like this is a story about, and I'll give you a few words to learn that just to make it easier reading for the child. So Sid, Ross, Ollie, Rex, and Spike, for example. And then when those are, you know, the names they can read in the story. So it's got tons of stuff like Chicken Licken, The Little Red Hen, The Little Mermaid. I mean, just The Hare and the Tortoise. So it's got some really interesting stories that have, you know, a lot of morals to them or whatever. And if you know me, you know I hate paying over $10 for anything. So anytime I'm like, oh, it's pricey, I mean, take that for what it's worth. This is $44, and you know, I was like, I don't want to spend it. I don't want to spend it. I'm really glad I did. Really glad I did. Really glad I did. So now let's talk about the second product. Is 101 Story Starters. It's pretty interesting. When I got to school, my teacher was a llama. I traded places with a knight. My cat is secretly a superhero. So story starters. Okay, so what language arts consists of is reading, writing, grammar, vocab, phonics, all this stuff. Now, you do not have to watch part 1 in order to watch this part, which is part 2. They just both contain different curriculums that you can take a flip through. But this does contain information that is not contained in video number 1, something I'm going to teach you today that I did not know previously. And when I found out, I was like, oh, what? You do not have to teach your children using a phonics curriculum if you do not want to. If phonics isn't working for your child, there's another curriculum that it's not a curriculum. There's another way to teach them that could be, you know, added into the phonics or taught separately. I'm going to tell you about it in a minute. Okay, so when they first started teaching reading, one of the things they did was there's this man in 1936 who created this system called Dolch, or a list called Dolch. Not Dolce, but Dolch. His name was not Dolch, so why he chose that name, I didn't read that far into it. But what he did is he took all the children's books written at that time and took all the words that were in them, the most common words, and created this list called Dolch. Now, that is for the primary levels, the little levels, like junior kindergarten, whatever, kindergarten, grade 1. But by the time you get up to grade 3, they switch to Fry words. There's the Fry word list. Sight words used in school are based on the Fry word list and a little bit on the Dolce list. But it's not Dolce. Dolch. But that's not the intended way they were meant to be taught. What they were meant to be taught is that a picture is assigned to a word. So when you look at the flashcard, there's a picture and a word, and that's how you memorize them based on the picture. And then the picture's gone. When the kid gets a bit, you know, used to them, you can flip them over and then they just know the word. Now, who would this be great for? Let me tell you. My son is a praxic. One of my children is a praxic and has Asperger's. His memory is great. We are teaching him reading the Everybody All About Reading. Pause, I'm making toast, hold on. So we're teaching him using the All About Reading system. And it's good, he's learning to read. But what I've noticed is that I think he's memorizing the words. Like I don't necessarily, he's not like reading them how you're meant to be, like sounding them out. He's memorizing them. So for him, I'm going to try that. Now, if you have an apraxic child, don't you worry. Apraxic children learn to read. They don't know how, though. There's not enough studies to show how apraxic children learn to read. I have my own theory as to how they're learning to read. I think it's that when they read, even though they say the word incorrectly, they know what it looks like, and in their head, it's correct, and they know what it means, and that's how they learn to read. But again, that's just my guess, right? Because no studies have been done, and they've said that they need more studies on how apraxic children learn to read. Now, back to how we teach the Dolce system, or the Dolch. The Dolce & Gabbana system, the Dolch system. So you do the flashcards, and essentially that's it. And then you pick books, like the Cat in the Hat, for example. is currently one of the only books I know of that contains just the Dolce word systems. The Dolce words, right? Hold on, gotta hand out toast. Now, I'm going to buy those flashcards. I haven't purchased them yet, but I'm going to. They're not easy to find because a lot of times when you put in the search thing, Dolce, stuff like that, a word list, generally just sight words pop up as if they're interchangeable. They're not really, they're a little different. The Dolce starts smaller words, I've noticed. At least that's what I've noticed. But again, the sight word list in general has the Dolce words in them. It's just that it's not meant to be memorized with pictures. It's not the picture system. That form of learning is called world language or language word learning. It's not really a phonetic way to learn. A lot of lessons do not incorporate both methods. They do have sight words, but they don't incorporate the pictures with that. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna see how it goes, because I think you can do both, quite frankly. I don't see why not. Or one or the other, whichever's working for you. So all I'm telling you this is that if phonics isn't working for your child or reading isn't working for your child, you can A, switch curriculums, you can B, wait a bit and try again when they're a bit older, or maybe try this system that might work for you. Now, no curriculums teach the word language that I could find, not a one, but there are books written on it. They're old books. It's kind of like how Charlotte Mason wrote her language arts book. Charlotte Mason language arts book basically says that no language arts or grammar should be taught until level 4, and then essentially learning language arts not as its own subject, but as you study history, you're doing copy work, you're doing narration, things like that. So, but there is a Charlotte Mason book on the topic, but it's it's old. It's like those other books. So essentially you're reading like a teacher's manual on how to teach children the Dolce system, this system, and the Charlotte Mason system doing language arts. But there, I've explained to you the Charlotte Mason system regarding language arts. So your children will learn vocab through different areas of topic that you study. Charlotte Mason also believed in quote unquote smart books. Smart books are where, or living books, which is where the author has a passion for the subject, right? Now understand, I'm not an expert on all of these topics. So if I am wrong on a topic, put it down in the comments and let me know. But that's just because I haven't spent years studying these topics. But anyway, a lot of the book lists I have are, I call them smart books. But anyway, they're Charlotte Mason. Charlotte Mason would like them in the sense that the teacher has a passion for the topic and it comes through the book. So say you want a full comprehensive language arts program. I have gone through a ton of language arts programs the last few days, and even before that when I was buying a bunch of curriculum. And all I've discovered is there's about 5. You may look and think, oh no, this is a full topic, like Winter's Promise. They have a full topic of language arts. They don't. A lot of people who have language arts curriculums, the curriculum it's pieces of Handwriting Without Tears, which I showed you a preview of last video, all about spelling. So they contract out, if you will, other things. But if you don't want that, so you would have to buy an additional book. They use the code. I have used the code. I have done, and I have a book to show you before we begin. It's Teach My Child to Read in 100 Lessons. Let me get that off the shelf. I've been meaning to, just to show you what it was like. Ugh. Don't worry, I got it. Now, a lot of these language arts programs are not starting really until grade 1. But you can do the prep work in kindergarten. So this is Teach Your Child to Read in 100 lessons. In 100 easy lessons. Okay, so first you teach them right to left, right? Or left to right? Left to right. And then it's got the sound writing chart. So it's not a fun curriculum, but it does the job, okay? So here we go. Task 4, say it fast. So let's start at the beginning. Sound introduction, point to M. Anything pink you say. So it does teach them to read. I've heard people say that, but I've also heard it's not the prettiest curriculum, if you will, right? Like it does the job. And it's not expensive. Say it fast. Let's play it, say it fast again. Listen. Motor, pause, cycle. Now say it fast. Motorcycle. Say it fast. Me. Say it fast. Okay, so you get where I'm going with this. This is how it progresses. So again, I think it does work. just don't necessarily know. It's just not the most pretty, and that's just a reading curriculum, right? So we're talking right now about language arts curriculums. I'm going to put one on the screen for you while I'm talking to you, just so I don't waste your time. So full curriculums, the only full curriculums I have found is master books, The Good and the Beautiful, which I showed you last time, Logic of Foundations, which I also showed you last video. I'll attach the video at the end so you can see the ones. And then IEW, Sunlight, Winter Promise, Torchlight, they all contract out. So they all have a specialty area that they focus on, even though it says it's a full language arts program, it's not. They all contract out. So let's go into some that do not contract out, if you will. Now, why do you split it up? You split it up, so why would you have a full language arts program? I mean, if your child is at the same levels for all of them and can progress through it, sure. If they are not at the same levels, then you can split it up. And by that, I mean, get a separate reading program, get a separate, do grammar when they're a bit older, get a separate spelling program, get a separate writing program. Or wait, put it off. If you are not under deadlines from a particular state or province or governing body, wait until, and focus this year, say this year we're gonna do science, this year we're gonna do art, this is what we're gonna focus on this year, and next year we're gonna start the reading program. Understand when you do that, that family members may get on your case a little bit, but that's family members. Just remember, they care, right? My mom was like, he's 5, why isn't he reading? He's not. He was 5. We didn't start him to learn to read till he was 6. So I don't think that's that far behind for one of my children. I have 3. Okay, so let's talk about master books. Master books, I looked at, now sometimes what I've done is I've gone and I've looked at a preview of the grade 1 and up, or level 1 and up, just to see, because the K version is the same regardless. It's basically the same in every program I've looked at. It's slightly different, but the language arts programs are relatively the same. Here's this sound. Draw this letter of this sound. Pick out the words that begin with this sound. There's some exceptions to that. Okay, so we already went through the Dolch list. Now we're talking about, oh, it says I'm starting with Life Pack. Well, where's master books? Since we already started talking about master books, let's go to my notes to master books. So Master Books is Christian, it's $73, and what I love about it is level 1, you are going to make your own dictionary. I think that's very cool for some reason. For some reason I'm like, that's exciting. But it goes deep into phonetics. So if you start with this, like when they're reading, certain letters they make gray in the words to show that there's no sound on that. And there's symbols over all the letters to show, over different letters to indicate different sounds. So it's very deep into phonetics. Their first program is the K Foundation's Phonics, which again isn't, like I say, they're all kind of similar, but this is a little different only in that it teaches the symbols of phonics. I haven't yet seen that in a program where they teach the actual symbols of a program. So just keep that in mind, that if you're gonna go into one, and it's supposedly an award-winning curriculum, it's supposed to be great. Not necessarily the foundations, phonics isn't award-winning, but it's the prep for, it's one of the only times where you gotta do that one in order to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever they have. Now, it's not that expensive a program, which I think is great. Some language arts programs, I lose my mind over when I look at that price, like the IEW. The IEW though, the problem is they contract out as well for some, so I thought it was a full curriculum as I was writing this, and then I realized it's not. But you can do the reading portion and the writing portion. The reading portion is $69, the writing portion $89. I didn't think there was anything particularly special about IEW. Again, it's the same. Hey, here's some letters. Let's spell these letters. Let's put them, I'm not saying it's not a bad program. It's a good program. I'm just saying it doesn't stand out like this is the best program ever. It's a program. There's also Foundations of Logic, which I showed you last time, and The Good and the Beautiful. Another one is the American Language Series. It again covers reading, writing, grammar, vocab, phonics, spelling, all of that. It's $160. I couldn't get, I don't know if I saw a sample of it or not, but it's $160 just for the kindergarten. The next one that I took a look at was Common Sense Press. So if there's any previews of these, which a lot of them, I got previews, I'll put them up there. Common Sense Press it starts in first grade. Again, it's called Learning Language Arts Through Literature, $110, but it is very low prep. It is very low prep. There are some programs I was reading, like I was reading just separate reading programs to teach your kid to read. So a competitor of All About Reading, there's a couple of them, but one of them that's very strong is what the heck is it called? It's a line, Pride. It's Pride reading, and it talks about how it's good for apraxic kids and things like that, but also, and dyslexic kids, but same with All About Reading. The thing with the Pride reading is like, first of all, I was reading through and it's like level yellow, level blue, level green. I'm like, which level am I at? Like it took a bit before I could navigate through that. And it makes me wish that all programs, no matter what homeschool program, you just went by grade levels and were like level 1, level 2, just so that, and not name them special neat things or interesting things, because then I don't know where to start, just to make it easier on me. Could we please just start with, but I believe you start with yellow. Now I was reading through it, you're actually teaching, like it comes with a whiteboard, you're actually, as if you're a teacher in a classroom. Now it seems fun for the child, absolutely. It seems like a pretty good time. It's got, now Logic of English I noticed had more games and things in it, but that's a full curriculum. Logic of English is full curriculum. This is just purely reading. It just seems intensive for the teacher. That's all I'm gonna say is it seemed a little intensive. Okay, so let's talk about free programs. Okay, so Mighty Owl's got video programs, and it's interesting because it teaches your kids what a book is, what's on the cover of a book. And it's got a lot of free videos that's very good quality, if you ask me. I mean, interesting videos to watch with your child on a variety of different subjects. So it's Mighty Owl, it's free to use. And so I just think that's a nice compliment to what you're doing. The Brian P. Clearly books. I have some to show you here. He does, so his first books do rhyming and his second books do grammar. Teach you different grammar rules. And it's some of the easiest grammar rules, explaining them to kids, that I've read. So that's why I like them. And you can get them at every library. That's why they're free. I mean, I found them at every library so far. I've been to, let's look through. So this is his one, Thumbtacks, Earwax, Lipstick, Dipstick. What is a compound word? And this is more about nouns. So I assume there's a first book about nouns. But if it's a person, place, a thing, you know, it's fundamental, it's a noun. So it's just very simple. If it's a jet is a noun, Peru, a net is a noun, like chimp or the zoo. A friend is a noun, ice cream and bagels in Boston and Brad. Da 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 da. On and on and on. So it's a very simple way to teach them. One of the things I like for vocab, 365 words for clever kids. First of all, we did this one. This is what we did. So you do one a week. Week 1. And then week 2, you can go into these. It's a play is the theme. And it's got words that might have to do embarrassed, confident, gusto, and things like that. So that went over pretty well in my household. Okay, so let's head back downstairs. I'm going to show you what I did for the kindergarten prep. So what I did is I basically went on Pinterest. It was free. Went on Pinterest and I chose, I hope it's in here. Yes. So I went on Pinterest and I chose, because I wanted letter identification. Letters have 2 names. Their first name is the letter, the name of the letter, and their second name is the sound of the letter. And I just chose the most popular sound. A is for apple. Okay, because basically we're just practicing handwriting and letter identification. This was free because I have an ink tank. If you have an ink tank, 7,800 pages you can print for free. Okay, and then I separated them out. They didn't come separated, like there was 2 different types of free things to get online. Okay, so I just looked up letter activities for free, letter identification, handwriting practice, and then I separated them and put them in here. Okay, so that's what I did. That's the kindergarten prep I'm going with. I did give you a preview the other day of the All About Reading pre-reading all about reading, pre-reading. It's pretty good too. As far as kindergarten curriculums go, I think it's pretty good. Now that's a reading one because remember, it's separated. So let's take a look at this. This, again, my Apraxic child has read using these. This is the first. Bug Run Bug is the first story, and very soon on, your child will be able to read the very first story. Tap, tap, tap. Tap the map, tap, tap, tap. Now, if you have more than one kid, all you need is to blast off to reading book twice. That's it. And don't get the small box. It's got a box in blue. Just get the bigger box if you have more than one kid. And you should be good to go. Also get a second set of the cards. So this is the teacher's manual. So in other videos, I have showed you a lesson. So you sit through, this is the lesson 3, you read BAM, okay? So then review the phonogram cards. So it has phonogram cards that you look through. Where are mine? I'm gonna put them away. Phonogram cards. A phonogram is a letter or 2 letters that make a sound, okay, in case you don't know. And then you have word cards that they're learning to memorize. And you go through those, so it's very easy. And then you do an activity sheet. There's always an activity sheet. Remove 17, 18 from blast off. Cut out the cards at the top. Tell your student Rocket the dog has just landed on planet Earth and is excited to invite his friends to a picnic. Place a punctuation card. Flip to the period side next to each name and read the names out loud. And then have your student help. So anyway, they're just, and then you got more words you got to look at. You have to teach them the warm-up words so that they know this before reading BAM. Okay, and then you read BAM. And then you can ask questions too. Why do you think the ferrets tapped the bag? What do you think is going to happen to the pan? What kind of trouble does the ferret get into? If you want questions and intelligent books, that's Torchlight for you. That's what you're going to want. That's what Torchlight does. That's their area of expertise. So these are some of the activity words taught in previous lessons. Cast, shot, fish. Phrases, did a job, get a cat, get a dog, 6 fish. Fish names, so things like that. So it's a pretty good curriculum. It's not bad at all for teaching to read. Not bad at all. I don't think I'm gonna go with the all about spelling. I think I'm gonna purchase Foundations of Logic and just to try that out for reading as well and see how that goes. But this is working well for the child that I'm using it with right now. Okay, now let me see. Oh, grammar. If you want a free grammar program that I thought was pretty good, it's $5 too if you buy the book of it on Amazon. It is Scott Forsman, Grammar and Writing. It goes 1 through 5th grade. And then here's a couple grammar books. Is the First Language Lessons Level 1, $14. It does copywork, narration, picture study. It's from the Well-Trained Mind. And the next one is Fix It Grammar, which I also thought was good. That's $29, grade 1 up. I like Fix It Grammar. When I was reading through it, I was like, that's pretty cool. So there you go. I think that's all we have to talk about for that. Oh, vocab. 2 things you can do for vocab. Mrs. Wordsmith. I believe I showed you this before. If not, I will show you. I mean, I did show it to you before, but take a look at it again if you want to. I got this off Miss Wordsmith. It is the Storyteller's Word a Day. You can also just take an old dictionary and have people pick out, a couple words a day to increase vocab as well. But I like Torchlight's vocab. I think it's pretty great. But Torchlight is secular. So there's no mention of God in it. So if that bothers you, don't take a look at it. I didn't find anything offensive, but that's me. So it's meant to stand up in a V, but I'm not going to put it together. But anyway, so swagger, to strut or stride, right? And then what's cool is on the other side of it. Now I bought this used. That's why it's in rough condition. Don't buy it used. Don't follow my lead. It's $25. Just ship out the extra 10. Swagger, synonymous with strut, stride, and parade, used in 2.7% of stories. It's got from the Velveteen Rabbit, so a real live example as to when it was used. Word pair, swagger confidently, swagger arrogantly. He swaggered boisterously. All right, and then tell a story. Grit swaggered confidently onto the stage and ... Okay, see, oh my gosh, I wish I had paid that extra money just to get it new. It's so beat up used. Can you say, please like and subscribe?
Please like you right.
And hit the bell for notifications.
Hit the bell for notifications.